What we've got here is failure to communicate. Some men you just can't reach. So you get what we had here last week, which is the way he wants it. Well, he gets it. And I don't like it any more than you.
Coming up next, somebody who took matters into their own hands, just got tired of it all. We're going to talk to the founder and organizer of United We Roll Canada. They took down those blockades at Edmonton. That's coming up next. I'm Bill Carroll. You're listening to the iHeartRadio Talk Network. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Bill Carroll Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
I want my city here to be safe.
I think we're...
you're blocking billions of dollars of our economy. 1,000 people just lost their jobs. How many people have we seen on all these people's here reports today?
On Trudeau in Canada.
I don't care about Trudeau or Legault. I just want them to get you out of here safe, and that's it.
That's a protester and a counter-protester squaring off near Montreal yesterday. That's what I'm worried about. That while the government sits back and says, we want a peaceful solution, they do nothing, and people start to get frustrated. They start to get mad. And that conversation, which ended peacefully, that conversation got pretty hot, though, didn't it? One day, a conversation just like that, somebody looks at somebody the wrong way. There's a push. There's a shove. And these things can turn very quickly. I think there was a lot of kind of maybe grudging admiration for people in Alberta who earlier this week said enough of this and got together and drove their pickup trucks to a rail line and took down the barricades by themselves. You don't necessarily want to see that either, but you can't entirely blame people. Listen, this is why it's hard. You know, I was watching even during the newscast, during the break, I was watching a member of the First Nations, very soft-spoken guy, seems very intelligent, thoughtful, talking about how they care about the environment and clean water and clean air and clean land and how all those things work together. And you look at that and you think, of course, who doesn't want those things, right? Who doesn't want those things? Who doesn't have, if you have even a slight understanding of history, some sympathy for the First Nations who were here before we were here? Who doesn't have that? At the same time, who doesn't have sympathy for the Via Rail worker who just got laid off and has a family to feed? Who doesn't care about the state of the economy in Alberta, where whether you like it or not, whether you'd like Canada to just get out of the oil and gas business tomorrow, while the rest of the world, by the way, continues on without us, and it does nothing to change where we're headed. Nothing. If global warming is happening, it's happening, and it's not going to stop because Canada gets out of the business entirely. The only thing that will happen is we'll go bankrupt as a nation. We'll have a massive recession. Alberta's economy will cave in on itself and bring the rest of the country with it. So these things are not easy. But what you can't do when you get elected to be the prime minister, what you can't do is nothing. I'm going to open up the phone lines here in a minute. 855. We'll open up now, actually, if you want to call in. 1-855-633-1010 on the iHeartRadio Talk Network. 1-855-633-1010. Or you can text me at 71010. Joining me in the meantime, though, is Glenn Carrott, founder and organizer of United We Roll for Canada. He was very involved in the planning to take down those blockades in Edmonton earlier in the week. Glenn, thanks for talking to us.
Hi, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Did you worry, though, as you planned this, that it could get ugly, that someone could get hurt?
It's always in our minds, and we're very peaceful. I mean, we've done organized protests and rallies since last year. As you know, we took 200 trucks across Canada, and We didn't hold up any traffic. We, made sure that everybody was able to get through, and we don't want to hold up the working class people. So, we're peaceful, but at the same time, we can't have people holding our economy hostage. So it's always there, but at some point there's a breaking point.
Why not wait for the system to work? Why not wait for the Prime Minister and the government to negotiate, or police to decide that they have a plan to move protesters out? Why not wait for those things?
Well, how long has this been going on? And they've been holding our economy hostage for well over 2 weeks. We've got chlorine not going to treatment plants. We're going to have a water problem. We've got, people not getting medicine, thousands of workers off work with CN and via rail. Their system isn't quick enough. This, to hold up our economy and hold up railways should be shut down immediately. They shouldn't be allowed in the first place to even set up there. So, we can't wait. And why? My question back to you is, why do we have to be the ones to step in? Why aren't they stepping in and taking action quicker? I mean, we've got propane, people without heat, etc. So it's very disheartening that we even have to be in this position. Yeah,
listen, I understand where you're coming from. I'm frustrated too that we have laws that are in effect, and my suspicion has always been that, Glenn, if you and I decided to chain ourselves to the railway tracks tomorrow because we're mad about something, we'd be cut loose pretty quickly by the police, put in another set of handcuffs, and taken to a jail cell somewhere. I really, I feel like there are two standards here, two ways of enforcing the law. At the same time, though, we can't have lawlessness either, right? We can't have people just decide the cops are not going to do it. So someone broke into my house. The cops aren't going to investigate it. I think I know who did it. I'm going to go kick down the door and get my stuff back. We can't have that either, right?
No, that's absolutely true. And I'll tell you, I've got a really good working relationship with the police, right from Vancouver, right to OPP, to into Ottawa, and they know that we're peaceful and try and respect all aspects of the law, but at the same time, we need to unfortunately have to take action against these protesters, because we want to make sure that they're not holding things up for a day or even any longer. I wish we could get out to. We've got people right from the Atlantic provinces to Victoria. There's a blockade in Salmon Arm. They're wanting us to come out and help the people, because we've set a precedent that we can't have this going on. So I hope we don't have to. I hope the police do step in, and I hope Trudeau steps up and they take some action and get all these barricades down.
I know you were part of organizing the takedown of the barricades, but you got there sort of towards the end. How was it received? Were there many protesters there? Were you confronted? Did you ever have the sense that it could get ugly?
I put out a call to action at about 8:00 in the morning. We heard this got set up through the night. We put a call out about 8:30, and we had, within 4 hours, we had close to 70,000 views on our Facebook page. So that just shows people are frustrated. And there was some of our people down right at the grounds when the things were taken down, as well as some local residents. Just geographically, it took us a couple hours to organize and get up there. But there wasn't, when we got there, they were just towing the last couple the vehicle off and the last little bit of debris, and actually all the protesters had gone, because I think they realized that Alberta is fed up, and they don't want confrontation any more than we do. They're just they're trying. Everybody has their right to protest. We get that, but they don't have the right to illegally protest.
Will you do it again? Concern. Will you step in again if blockades go back up and you can do something about it? Are you going to, or are you going to wait it out this time?
100%. No, we'll be there. And I got to give a shout out to Minister Schweitzer. He actually was right on the ball. He got that CN injunction, almost immediately, and they did do it. They did do a good job. And so, we won't allow these barricades to go up. We'll wait. When we were down in Carsland, we actually waited for the police, and we were communicating with the police and let them go through their process. We just wanted to create some awareness, but we'll be there. We're not going to stand down until we get our pipelines going, this Coastal GasLink working, and pipelines going to Tidewater, et cetera. So we're going to be right there.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And Carrot, founder and organizer of United We Roll for Canada in Alberta, where they took down the barricades because they got tired of waiting for the police or the government to come in and do it for them. Your reaction to this is what? 855-633-1010. Lots of calls coming up next. I'm Bill Carroll, the iHeart Radio Talk Network.
The Bill Carroll Show is on the iHeart Radio Talk Network.
Well, people all, I would say, have very mixed opinions. No, that's not true. They have very strong opinions. They're just on either side when it comes to Glenn Garrett stepping in and taking down some barricades on his own. Burlington, Ontario wants to know why I didn't ask this question. Sounds like he's a professional demonstrator. Why did you not ask him who is paying him? Because I didn't think he sounded like a professional demonstrator. And anyway, if he was, would he tell me that? But no, I think he definitely is an advocate. Like some of the people who are out there protesting are not also professional demonstrators. Come on. Guelph, Ontario says, thank God for these guys from Alberta. Somebody else says, oil dead redneck. You shouldn't have spent your oil revenue. I think it's supposed to be VE, shouldn't have spent your oil revenue. Anyway, I love and hate this idea all at the same time. Citizens should not be fighting other citizens. Government needs to step up. That's precisely my point. If we do nothing, we prevent nothing. This thing is going to end itself one way or the other. People are mad, and they won't sit around and do nothing forever. Calling us from Toronto, this is Above. How you doing?
Good. How about yourself, Bill?
Good. So where do you stand on all of this? You getting tired of it? You admire citizens who step up, or do you think that's the wrong way to go?
I understand the frustration. I, too, am frustrated. But by stepping up and getting involved in this, that's the exact wrong thing, trying to fight with them and take down the barricades. Are you going to cover all the rail lines across the entire country all the time, 24/7?
No, but at the same time, they can't barricade all of the railways all of the time, 24/7 either. So, yeah, if they block the railway, it'll be there for a while until somebody comes to take it down. You could say the same about police, right? You get an injunction here, they block it somewhere else. That is the nature of our transportation system in this country, and they know that. So you're right. We could end up chasing each other all around the country. At some point, though, people have to fear that if they break the law, they won't be able to break it the next day because they're going to be locked up somewhere. And I don't think that fear exists right now. Clayton, what do you say?
So, yeah, my opinion of it, I'll be honest, I lean more in support of, I don't like this protest. It's really blocking the economy, but I thought it'd have more of an informative input. My siblings and I were actually on our way back from Ottawa. I'll keep this short, but long story short, we actually thought we'd try driving by the protest to see what was going on, and sure enough, and I had the opportunity to walk right up to the front line, and it was a very interesting experience. So,
interesting how?
Well, so I was approached by a Native individual, and he communicated with me politely, but I could sense that there was some tension. So I had a camera with me, and he said, "You're going to have to put that behind your back." And I didn't plan on entering because I had talked to a police officer before, and he said that I was allowed to, but it was kind of at my own risk. So I kind of sensed a little bit of a threat to safety. But he was essentially saying, that he wondered a lot about what side I was on, and because I didn't want to cause tension, I don't know if you'd call this cowardly, but I didn't really state my side. But I could sense some tension, and he leaned toward. It seemed as though he wasn't wanting me to come in, and kind of some other protesters kind of were starting to notice me. So at a certain point, I just decided to leave. But it was very fascinating because I just been following this whole ordeal, and to experience it firsthand was quite something.
Now, what's interesting is you told our producer that you've seen the blockades firsthand, and it appeared very peaceful. But you actually sound like you were intimidated.
I was, yeah, I'll be honest. When you kind of acknowledge that there's a very big group of people with an agenda, and you are a lone individual, and I'm a white person, so I'm not Native. So it kind of feels threatening. I can't assume that they would have attacked me or anything, but I thought it was smarter to maybe hold my ground.
All right, thank you, Clayton. Yeah, I think it's probably not a good idea to walk up and ask too many questions. There's no sign of violence from anyone who's been part of these protests so far that I'm aware of. But my point is, when you hear the confrontation we played for you earlier outside of Montreal, and then you hear this guy's story, it doesn't take much for something to get overheated, because two sides are tense and two sides have very strong opinions. And that's where it gets ugly. And so for the Prime Minister to sit back and hope it resolves itself, I think is beyond naive. I think it's dangerous. What do you think, Jesse? You're on with Bill Carroll.
Good afternoon, Bill. It's heartbreaking to hear that we're this far down the road and there's still so much pain on both sides and so much frustration. And I agree that the government should be doing something, but there seems to be this, well, it needs to be military or strong action. I don't know why they haven't got to the root of the issue and said, okay, let's make a decision here. Do the Wet'suwet'en chiefs have a right over their territory or not? And if they would, they're not even answering that question. And so all of these people, including myself now, just keep talking around in circles going, well, what's the right response? And nobody's actually dealing with the root issue.
Well, but the problem is, though, before you even get to that, Jesse, you have to ask the question, how do the people who live there feel about this natural gas pipeline? That's not a clear answer either. There are a whole lot of people who live there who want it. So you got to figure that out first.
We're wasting our air on trying to speculate what this group of people wants and what their leadership wants, and nobody's even really clear. I watched the guy from is it TC on with Evan Solomon there a while ago, and he said, well, we assumed we talked to the right natives. I'm like, well, what kind of answer is that? You're going to spend billions of dollars and you're not absolutely sure that you've talked to the right natives?
Well, because it's like anytime, thank you, Jesse, anytime you hear the community say, we spoke to a representative of the Black community or the First Nations community, it's like, every community is as complex within itself as we are as a nation with all the different communities mixed in. There's never just one opinion. I don't think you could ever find one opinion on any issue. I remember when I started in talk radio years ago, I'd go on the air sometimes and think, well, I'm going to say this, but I won't get a lot of calls because this is just such common sense. Everyone would agree. And no matter how simple it seemed, there was always at least one person who probably represented 1,000 more who thought you were crazy, not common sense at all. They thought you were a crazy person. So it's never going to be easy. And the whole issue of who owns your land. Do you own your home? Some of you say, no, I never bought a home. Others will say, of course, yeah, I bought my own home. And, well, me and the bank own it. Yeah, it's not that simple either. If they decide they want to build a highway through your backyard, if it's in the public's interest, they will build a highway through your backyard. You will be compensated for it, but the best interest of the community at large always comes into play. Mark, you say what about all this?
Hey, Bill, great show today.
Thanks.
Listen, not that we need any more examples of Trudeau's hypocrisy, but I don't know if you remember back with the SNC-Lavalin scandal, his primary motivator to obstruct justice with his Indigenous Attorney General was to preserve and protect Canadian jobs, which the number at that point was around 9,000, I believe. We've seen this week alone 1,000 jobs being shed, although temporarily, still it affects the families with the VIA layoffs. What is the number that we're going to have to get to, and what is the impact going to be when that number escalates, and when will Trudeau step in and actually enforce the law?
Yeah, great questions. I don't think 9,000 jobs were ever going to be lost at SNC-Lavalin. They had so many contracts for running infrastructure. It was still going to have to be run. If they went out of business tomorrow, someone would buy those contracts, and most of those frontline workers would keep on working. But we never wanted the facts to get in the way of that argument. Coming up next, an entire province's school system is shut down today. Teachers have taken to the streets of Toronto by the thousands. What are the issues? We'll dig into it coming up next. Bill Carroll, the iHeartRadio Talk Network.